Hey, so we're making this video. My name is Brian. I'm here with my classmates Vishal and Tushar, and we are making this video based on the MCSA, which is the Microsoft Certified Solutions Associate, and it is a certification program for people who are seeking entry-level jobs in IT. So we are students at Sterling College, and our instructor for this course was Merdad. And we are basing this video off of this final project that he gave us. We will be building a Windows domain, setting up a domain controller, and then joining a Windows 10 workstation to that domain. And now Vishal will go over everything that we learned in this course.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Vishal. In this course, basically, we learn how to use a Ubuntu and how to install and configure OS, how to use a server manager, and how you can use a PowerShell for for any commands, how to configure it, and one of the most important things which we learn is a VirtualBox, how to use it, and as well as how to use a Hyper-V, and this is what we learn in that course. Now Tushar going to explain how much we improved during the course. And Tushar.
Hi, there is Tushar sir. I'm going to talk about the first day of class skills and up to the current scenario. And the first day we had a basic computer skills, but on not so much good. And in managing a network with Windows Server 2016. But after taking classes, we learned how to use Linux, Mac, and Windows OS. And we also learned about administrative tools like network load balancing, Windows Server update, using PowerShell remotely, and sharing resources over a network.
Okay, and so here we're going to get started. We're going to open up our VirtualBox here. So a few things you'll want to download to get started. You're going to need VirtualBox, which you can get from the VirtualBox website. We also want the media or Windows Media Creation Tool, which you can download from the Microsoft website, and the Windows Server 2016 edition installation file, which you can also download from the Microsoft website, which is very handy. And then that will give us everything to set up our virtual networks here. So for starters, I'm going to go into File, and we'll go down to Host Network Manager. You can see we've already got our host network adapter set up with a static IP address. It's very simple. You just click Create, and then it will create a new adapter. But since we already have the one here, by default, it will be set up with DHCP enabled and auto configured for everything. So we are actually just going, like, all you have to do is click here, click manual, and then this is the address we're going to use as our adapter, and we'll have to refer back to it later. And then also just make sure this DHCP is disabled. Otherwise, at some point, it's going to try and get itself a new IP address, and it's probably going to mess up your network connectivity. So after that, we want to go into settings here, and we go down to network, and you can see adapter 1 is enabled as a NAT adapter, and that will enable our host and guest virtual machines to access the internet on a controlled basis, we'll say. And then we'll set adapter 2 here to a host-only adapter, and that will allow them to communicate with each other through a network on this host-only adapter. And so we have to do that one, and we also do it for this Windows 10 one, but we've already got it set up and running. Right here, you can see it's set up the same. So now at this point, we can just fire up this machine, and we'll get started with setting up our domain here once it's loaded and everything. So. Okay, so now we got our machine up and running. You can see it's the Windows Server 2016 host, and it auto loads Server Manager there. So we are going to need to go manage, add roles and features. And we're going to have to install a couple features here. We'll select from the server pool, and we will need Active Directory domain services, as well as DNS services, or DNS server, sorry. So right here, you can see add features. We will include the management tools with it. This one will eventually become our domain controller. So once we install Active Directory here, the next thing we will do will be configuring and setting up our domain. So just click there. You can see that's done. You can just click next through here. And then these are the things we're going to install. We get the confirmation screen at the end, and we just have to click install. And then once that's done, we should be good to set up our domain here. Now we've got everything installed. You can see we've got the DNS server and the Active Directory domain services installed. So our next step is we can just click on the little flag here and we'll click promote this server to a domain controller. So that'll get us into the beginning. Just gotta wait for it to load here. Since we do not have anything created yet, we'll have to click add a new forest. There we go. So you go add a new forest, and for the domain, we will just call it domain1.local, I think. And then right there, For this step, we will have to set a password for the directory services restore mode. Oh. Then we can also change things like set it as a read-only domain controller. If you added a second domain controller, that would be a good option. And then we'll make sure this one's clicked as well for the DNS server. We will not create the DNS delegation at this point. And this should autofill with the NetBIOS name once it is finished loading here. There we go, and you can see the NetBIOS name there. The paths we can leave the same, and then it'll give us the review options, and it will actually take it through a prerequisites check just to make sure everything's configured properly so far. You can see the path. Computer needs to be restarted, and so we'll have to configure that. Okay. Yeah, and so we had a little problem there, but we just restarted the computer, and you can see there's still the warnings up, but now we can actually just install it, and then we can configure it after it's been created. And we've been set up as the domain controller. Okay, so this is the part it just finished installing Active Directory and configuring it, and now it's just doing a quick restart here, and we should be good to go afterwards. So I'm just going to pause it one more time until we're fired up in Windows again. Okay. We finally got Windows loaded up again, Server Manager loaded up for us. You can see that we are now part of a domain, the name of domain1.local. And so I think that is it for the initial setup of the Active Directory domain services. Okay, and so that's it for the domain configuration. And so now Tushar is going to take it from here.
Now here we go to the Ethernet 2 and we right click and go to the properties. And we uncheck the IPv6 and go to the IPv4. And properties. Now here we give the static IP address like like 192.168.0.10. The subnet mask comes by default, and we give a default gateway of 192.168.0.10. 168.0.1, and by the end we give a alternate DNS server. It's 4 times 8, and then we go to the OK, and we close the Ethernet to properties box. So now here we have to go with the new virtual machine, and we just have to go with the similar steps which we do in the previous virtual machine. And only the difference between both these virtual machine is that we just have to give a minor difference of IP address, digit last, and the preferred DNS server. Now I just set the static IP address of both the virtual machines. Now here Vishal is going to configure the firewall properties.
So if we have, first of all, I'm going to configure the firewall property. In order to do that, I'm going to click, like as you can see here, there is firewall option. I'm going to click on this option. Like if there is no window pop up, and in this window, I have to click on the advanced settings to go to the firewall. So I can set up my internet. So in there, I have to go to the Windows firewall properties. Then when I click on this kind of screen pop up, and here I have to customize the my network for like if I when I click on the customize, there is two Ethernet appear, Ethernet 1 and Ethernet 2. I have to make it sure the Ethernet 2 is off, because if it's open, like it's going to be create a future problem when I'm going to ping my one computer with the another computer. So I have to make sure it's open in a domain profile, private, public. I have to repeat the same process in the every three of them. Now it's private or just stuck. Now it's open. Now in the private, customize of the Ethernet to, then click on OK. Then same goes for public. Then customize. Okay, customize. Then stop the Ethernet to. Then okay. So now we are done with this. We have to go through the same process. Okay. So after we're done with the internet Ethernet setting in the firewall in this server, we have to do the same step in the our another virtual machine. Actually, we already done with the steps. Now we are going to ping the one computer from the another in a command prompt. First of all, if we have to make it sure that our computer is connected with the internet. You just have to type ping google.com png. Okay, google.com. So I do not. Oh yeah, I just pinged double. I just did the spelling mistake by mistake. So as you can see, it's saying that it's connected with the internet. So now I'm going to ping this computer with my another Windows virtual machine. So for that, I have to type ping. Now I have to go type the IP address which I set up in that virtual machine, that is 192.168.0.10. And as you can see, this is working and they both computer are connected. So if I have to do the same process in my another virtual machine. So now we are at our another virtual machine. So first I'm going to open the command prompt cmg command prompt. I have to make sure I run it as administrator. Oh, I just clicked it on here. So I have to cmd. So run as administrator. Now I have to go. I'm going to ping this computer with the other one. The ping. 192.168.0.50. So as you can see, it's also working now. The both computers are being together. Now they're connected with each other. So now you know how we can ping one computer with the another. So if you have any doubt regarding your IP address, like which IP address did you put there? So if you want to check it, there is a command name ipconfig. If you type it like here, I'm going to show it how you can configure your IP address. Then click on enter. Now, as you can see here, all the IP address we have in a computer. So here the Ethernet to adapter IP address, which we put in our virtual machine. It is a 192.168.0.10. So as you can see IP address from there. And there is a one more command which help you to see your IP address. And this is a ARP space slash A, and this command basically works as same as the ipconfig. It shows the all the IP address which you have in your laptop or device. So as you can see, this show the list of the all the IP address, and that's it about our presentation. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned something new for our presentation, and it was really great experience for us as well. Thank you.
Thank you.